Have you ever wondered how some creators are able to make thousands of dollars a month off of brand deals, but sometimes you struggle to even get a response from your pitch? And it's so frustrating because sometimes you even have similar or even better quality work. But the truth is, if you want to grow your photo or video business, like it or not, you have to be able to convince brands to hire you. But how do you do that? Well, over the last 5 years, I've worked with some of the top travel brands in the entire world and helped dozens of other creators just like you land tens of thousands of dollars worth of brand deals using a system I call precision prospecting. But one of the most important parts of that process is the perfect email. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to optimize your pitch email so you can land more paid brand deals. I'm also going to show you 3 things that most creator gurus will never tell you about when it comes to pitching brands. But most importantly, I'm going to show you why the last line of your email is the key to making all of this work. But it's not about gassing yourself up in an email. It's more about this. But before we get to this lure here, I first need to explain why completely ignoring yourself needs to be your ultimate goal. So think of pitching like this. So imagine you're a marketing manager and you just get tons of emails every single day from creators, influencers, all basically sending the same version of a pitch deck. Your only goal is that your email stands out so much the marketing person ignores the rest of the noise and just clicks on your email. Now, obviously, if this happens, you have a much higher chance of the marketing person actually reading through your email, potentially sending you a response. And if you do it enough, you'll land a whole lot more paid brand deals. But there's this thing that most creators are doing that actually completely prevents this from ever happening. And sometimes it's not even that the pitch is bad. A lot of times the pitch is actually very good, but the pitch never had a chance of being read because it was just never opened in the beginning. Because it doesn't matter how persuasive your email is, if it never got read, you're never gonna land any deals. And that brings us to the first part of the perfect email formula. But to explain why this is so important, let me first ask you a question. What is the best way to catch a fish? Is it a fancy lure? Maybe some live bait like a worm or a shrimp? Or what about a hot dog? Real talk, the last time I ate one of these things, I barfed, so y'all are lucky that I'm risking it for this video. Now, when you look at that list, you probably think to yourself, well, one of those is the obvious answer. Some of them might work, and one of them's like, why would you even try that? Like the hot dog. But to be honest, I think the hot dog might actually be the best bait. Now, I'm no fisherman, but I do know that fish won't bite a hook for no reason. There has to be a compelling reason to actually bite the hook. Usually it's because they're hungry and they want the meal that's on the other end of the hook. So the only reason a fish will ever bite on a hook is because they feel that the meal on the hook will solve their hunger problem. And this is how writing subject lines works too. Marketing people don't just love to sit there and be pitched all day. In fact, they're sick and tired of it. It's kind of like asking them to bite on a raw hook. But if we can lure them to the hook with something they actually want, then we have a much higher chance of them actually opening the email and reading our pitch. And what do people want more than anything else? Resolution. It's the reason that you stay up till 3 a.m. binging your favorite Netflix show, and actually, to be honest, it's the reason you're still watching this video right now. It's because you just want to find out what happens next. But we can actually implement that same psychological tactic in our subject lines to increase our open rates by including curiosity and open loops. So to drive this point home, let's just take this email for example. So tell me, does anything about this email subject line compel you to want to open it and learn more? I mean, maybe if Nash was a famous celebrity and everyone knew who I was, then maybe. But the fact is I'm not, and you're probably not a famous celebrity either, so there's really nothing compelling somebody to open this email. So now let's switch this up and add an element of intrigue and curiosity. So if I'm Mark in this case, I'm gonna be asking myself, wait, who is this person? Do they actually know who I am? And I'm probably gonna click on that because I'm just gonna be curious who's even sending me the email. Or we could try something like this where I'm curious what this is and what is so awesome about this, so I'm probably gonna open the email as well just to find out. So the first part of our perfect email formula is to create this curiosity gap in our subject line so that we can lure people to open our email, because that's ultimately where we're making our pitch. But Nash, isn't this just clickbait? Well, this brings up a major problem that stops the perfect email from working. So imagine you're in this state of starvation, your tummy's growling, you're in a cranky mood, and I just walk in with this big, gooey, cheesy pizza. Or maybe this hot dog right here. No, I'm just kidding. So imagine you grab a slice, you're in anticipation, you're almost shaking, you're so hungry, you go to take a bite and then you realize it's just a styrofoam replica. You'd probably be pissed, right? And that's where the second part of the perfect email formula comes in, because it's crucial that we get the prospect to the end of the email without feeling like they just wasted their time. Because like I said before, the end of the email is the absolute most important, so it's critical that we include all kinds of different ingredients to get them all the way to the end of the email. But how do you do that? Well, I'm gonna give you one of the most powerful ingredients on the entire planet, and it works like this. So imagine you're watching some educational YouTube video and the creator says something and all of a sudden it just clicks. And that's why fishing without bait is a waste of time. Who knew? So these are called light bulb moments. And they make you feel really good. And as a result, you'll probably trust the value that the creator is talking about in the video even more. And you want to engage even further, whether that's liking the video, maybe it's watching more of the person's videos, or in your case, if you're not already, subscribing to the channel. So how do you create these light bulb moments for your prospects? Well, actually, it's the exact opposite of what most creators think. And it's actually the answer to one of the most popular questions that almost all creative business owners have, which is, how come some creators can charge so much more than me when their work isn't even as good as mine? So go look up any production company website that's done any major television ad, and you're gonna realize one thing. They're almost always gonna talk about the results they got their client, and more importantly, the process that they use to get their clients those results. And that's the key to making a killer pitch. See, because landing brand deals is not about how polished your work is or how many companies you've worked with in the past. It's actually about how much your prospect trusts the process that you use to get them the results that they're after. Fish bite on a lure like this because they're hungry. That's it. It's not because this thing is brand name or because this thing worked on another fish. They literally don't care. So if all your email does is talk about you and your bio, who you've worked with, all these kind of different things, then it's kind of like getting a little nibble on this guy, but never getting the full-on chomp because there's nothing to get him to fully commit. But if you find a way to simply talk about your process for getting similar clients, the type of results that this prospect wants to have, then it builds confidence for them to read the entire email, get to the end, and then they might even want more of what you have to offer. But how do you show some proof of process? By giving proof that you've actually gotten results before. And one of the main ways to do this is through a case study, which, by the way, if you don't have a case study, I actually did an entire video breakdown that you can check out. I'll leave a link somewhere here. But stay on this video, don't watch it until this video is over, but it breaks down the entire process of getting case studies, even if you don't have clients. Which brings us to the third and final part of the email, which, like I talked about, is maybe even equal or more important than your subject line and the rest of your email. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with how fancy your signature is. And so now that we've casted out our lure, we've attracted some fish, maybe we got some nibbles of interest through talking about our process. Now we have to get them to actually chomp and commit to having a call with us so we can actually reel them in for the sale. And here's where most people go wrong. So let me ask you a question. So if I took this little piece of hot dog and put it on this hook right here, how confident would you be that we could probably get a fish? Probably pretty confident, right? All right, now let's say that we put this entire big hot dog on here. How confident would you be that we could actually catch a fish with this thing? Well, let's play it out. So, well, this thing's about to fly off the hook already, but let's imagine we throw it out and it actually stays on the hook in the water. We'd probably attract some fish that, go on the outskirts here. Maybe we even attract a whole swarm or a whole school of fish and they start nibbling on the outside, but chances are we're not actually gonna get a fish to bite the hook. Why? So just like the hot dog, when you make a huge ask in your email, it just takes way too much effort and commitment for the client to actually do anything. So they end up staying on the outskirts and just nibbling where it's a lot safer and they don't have to commit. So let me explain how this works, but more importantly, how you can craft a low commitment ask. See, because people don't like committing to things, especially when it's just from a random stranger on the internet that just sent them an email. But if you've followed the steps up until now, you've probably created some amount of trust with this prospect that's reading the email, but here's where it can kind of go off the rails. So if you start pitching things like specific deliverables, packages, pricing, and then you ask them, hey, if you're interested, let me know, that's just asking for way too much commitment on that first touch point. It's kind of like throwing an entire hot dog in on a small hook and hoping you catch a fish. So keep in mind here, the prospect is not looking to get pitched. So when you talk about deliverables and pricing, they might have to go talk to some higher up. They have to put a lot of thought and effort into thinking about if this is something they actually want or need. So therefore, it either delays the response, best case, or in most cases, they'll just not respond at all and you'll get ghosted because it was just way too much commitment to engage the conversation. So to fix this, we have to make the end ask of our email, or as a lot of people call it, the call to action, as low effort as humanly possible. And what's the most low effort answer somebody can possibly give? Just a simple yes or no answer. It's just one word. So at the end of the email, once you've shown that you understand their business, what they're after, and shown some kind of proof or evidence that you know how to get people there, then all you do is ask a simple yes or no question. Say something like, if you're interested in a personalized strategy breakdown video of exactly how to apply these concepts to your business, just reply yes and I'll shoot it over. And assuming they're interested now, you've officially hooked that fish. And it's time to reel them in. But don't get excited just yet, because just because they're on the hook doesn't mean they're actually a client yet. You just got them on the hook. There's actually an entire process for reeling this fish in to get them from just being on the hook to actually a paying client. And there's a lot of places that they can jump off the hook throughout the process if you don't do it correctly. So if you want to see an in-depth breakdown of the entire reel-in process from pitch to call to final paying client, then check out this video here where I break the entire process down.